Welcome to the Bread Marathon. Part B. From my kitchen with love. Let's bake with all our heart and soul. Let's get started. The secret to the softest stick rolls you will ever make. Ingredients: 5 heaping cups sifted flour, 720 grams, 1 cup of lukewarm water, 1 cup of lukewarm milk, 1 tablespoon yeast, 2 heaping tablespoons sugar, 3 tablespoons oil, ½ teaspoon salt, 40 grams butter at room temperature, another 20 grams of butter to spread on the dough, 2 eggs separated into whites and yolks. I am keeping the yolks. To brush over the rolls, sesame seeds for decoration. Preparation: put the water in a bowl, the milk, the yeast, the sugar, the egg whites, and the oil. Mix well. Add half of the flour and mix. Add some flour and mix. Add the rest of the flour. Knead a little. While the dough has not yet come together, add the butter. Continue to knead. Add the salt. Knead until the dough is uniform. You can also add the salt before adding the butter. Knead a little. Add the butter. Knead into a uniform dough. Grease the dough and the bowl. Cover with a towel. Place in a warm spot for an hour and a half. Knead the dough slightly. Sprinkle a little flour on the work surface and place the dough. Sprinkle a little flour on the dough. Knead it slightly. Prepare 16 balls from the dough. Cover the balls with a towel. Continue making the rest of the balls. Take the first ball I prepared, roll it out into a thin dough in an elongated rectangle shape. Spread a little butter on the dough, leaving the edges clean. Roll it up. Apply flour to 2 long sticks. Please pay attention to how I place the dough on the sticks. Once from the right side and once from the left side until the end of the dough. Rotate the sticks gently. Pull them out. Then place it on a baking tray with parchment paper. Cover the rolls with a towel. Continue to prepare all 16 rolls. Pay attention. Stretch the dough over the sticks. There is a gap between the sticks. They are not pressed against each other. Set aside for 20 minutes. Add 1 teaspoon of water to the egg yolks. Mix well. Brush the rolls with the egg wash. Sprinkle sesame seeds on top. Place in a preheated oven. Israel, 180 degrees. United States, 350 degrees. Bake for 25 to 30 minutes until they reach a beautiful golden color. Take the rolls out of the oven. Cover them with a towel and let them cool completely. The rolls are so soft and delicious. You can freeze these rolls. And whenever you want, just thaw them out. That way they stay fresh. From my kitchen with love. Subscribe to my channel. Let's move on to the next recipe. Sweet challah bread. The softest in the world. Ingredients for 1 challah. If you want 2 challah loaves, double the ingredients. 500 grams sifted flour. 1 tablespoon yeast. 4 tablespoons olive oil. 1 teaspoon salt. 1 teaspoon baking powder. 4 tablespoons honey or sugar. 1 1/4 cups water. Sesame seeds for topping. 1 egg for brushing. Preparation. I add to the bowl with the flour all the dry ingredients and mix well. I add the oil and gradually add the water and knead until a smooth dough forms. I lightly grease the bowl and the dough. I cover with a towel and place the bowl in a warm spot for 1.5 hours. I punch down the dough and knead slightly. I cover again with a towel and place in a warm spot for another half hour. Look how the dough has risen. I punch it down again. I grease a loaf pan. I take a portion of the dough and form a ball. Then shape the ball into a slightly elongated shape and place it in the greased pan. Once again, I take another portion of the dough and roll it into a ball. And place it in the pan. I cover with a towel and set aside for another half hour. Look how the dough has risen. I beat an egg. And brush it over the dough. You can sprinkle sesame on top, poppy seeds, whatever you like. I sprinkle fennel seeds. This is how I prepare the second challah as well. I place them in a preheated oven. Israel, 180 degrees Celsius. United States, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And bake for about 35 to 45 minutes. Until the challahs are a beautiful golden color. My bread is ready. I cover it with a towel and let it cool completely. From my kitchen with love. Subscribe to my channel. Let's move on to the next recipe. Delicate rolls. Ingredients: 5 cups of sifted flour, 2 cups of hot milk, 400 ml, spoon of yeast, 2 tablespoons of oil, teaspoon sugar, flat teaspoon salt, sesame for decoration, hyssop for decoration, and another teaspoon of salt. Preparation: heat the milk in the microwave for a minute and a half. You can heat the milk on the gas. Put it in a bowl, the milk, yeast, sugar, and a flat teaspoon of salt. Mix well. Add the flour gradually. Mix well. Knead into dough. The dough is sticky. Place the dough on the work surface. Continue to knead the dough until smooth dough. Put the dough in a bowl. Add the oil gradually. Continue to knead until the dough smooth and elastic. At first the dough slides, but slowly the oil is absorbed and the dough becomes smooth and elastic. Cover the bowl with a towel and let it sit for an hour. Put the dough on the work surface. Knead a little. Divide the dough into 6 parts. Of any pot, create a bowl and sets aside. Flatten the ball into a circular shape with a thickness of half a cimi. And roll and insert the ends into tighten the dough the entire length. Push the edges inward slightly. Rolls more at the edges. Then in the middle, putting on a baking pan with baking paper. Fill up with water, about 3/4 of the height of the pot. Adding a teaspoon of salt and mix. Bring to a boil. The water boils. Put into the pot. Cook 1 minute for each side. Takes out into a baking pan with baking paper. Cut stripes at equal distances diagonally. All the way. Scatters over, some with sesame and some with hyssop. Put in a preheated oven. Israel, 200 degrees. United States, 400 degrees. Bake for about 25 minutes. Until dark yellow. Takes out of the oven, puts on a grid. Covers with a towel. Cools completely. From my kitchen with love. Subscribe to my channel. Let's move on to the next recipe. Jerusalem bagels. Ingredients: 1 kilo sifted flour, 2/3 cup oil, 5 tablespoons sugar, 2 level tablespoons yeast, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 level teaspoon salt, 2.5 cups water. I start with 2 cups. Egg for brushing. For topping, sesame and za'atar. Preparation: add the yeast to the flour bowl and mix. Add baking powder and mix. Pay attention. In this recipe, I use both baking powder and yeast. Add the sugar and salt and mix. Add the oil and 2 cups of water and mix. Knead into a dough. If the dough is too soft, add a little flour. If the dough is too hard, add a little water. Knead until smooth. Sprinkle some flour on the work surface. Place the dough. Knead for a few minutes. Keep kneading until the dough is smooth and not sticky. Grease a bowl. Brush a little oil on the dough. Place it in the bowl. Wrap the bowl with plastic wrap. Set aside for 1 hour. Sprinkle flour on the work surface. Place the dough and knead and deflate it. Divide the dough into 4 equal parts. From each piece I make a ball and set aside. Line a baking tray with parchment paper and lightly grease. Roll the dough ball lengthwise. If it's not smooth and nice, fold it in half and roll again lengthwise. Place on the baking tray. With space between, brush with egg. On 2, I sprinkle sesame, and on the other 2, za'atar. You can add whatever you like. "15 minutes before baking. Turn on the oven. Israel, 180 degrees. United States, 350 degrees. Place the trays on the oven. Cover with a towel. And wait. Another half hour. Put the trays in the oven. Bake for 35 or 40 minutes until a nice golden color. Place the trays on a rack. Cool completely. If you want the bagels, soft on the outside and inside, Cover with a towel. I prefer crispy outside and soft inside. The bagels are soft and delicious. From my kitchen with love. Subscribe to my channel. Let's move on to the next recipe. Crispy rolls. Ingredients: 3½ cups of sifted flour,
Spoon yeast,
3 tablespoons of sugar, teaspoon salt, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and a glass of water, sesame for coating, and a bowl with cold water. Preparation: put in a bowl water, sugar, and yeast. Mix well. Set aside for 10 minutes. Add to the bowl of flour the salt and oil, and mix. Add the yeast bowl. Knead until a uniform. If the dough is too sticky, add a little flour. Sprinkle a little flour on the work surface. Place the dough. Continue to knead until smooth and uniform dough. Grease a bowl. Place the dough. Cover with a towel. Set aside for an hour. Knead the dough a little. cut into 6 parts. From each part, create a ball. Place on the work surface. Cover with cling film. Wait half an hour. Make a hole in the middle of the ball. Increases the hole slightly. Immerse in cold water. Expect sesame. Place on a baking sheet with slightly greased baking paper. This is how I make all the balls. A preheated oven in Israel 180 degrees. United States 350 degrees. About 30 minutes until nicely golden color. Pay attention how soft inside and crispy from the outside. From my kitchen with love. Did you like it? Subscribe to my channel. My cookbooks on Amazon. Good luck. A new marathon is coming soon.